Good morning. This is Elizabeth Estel, Homeschool Christian Mom, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be going live this week at 10 o'clock and talking about how to choose good curriculum. And one thing you want in your curriculum is you want good illustrations and colorful illustrations, and you want those illustrations to be so that you can easily figure out what's going on in the picture. And you want things to be interesting for your students. You don't just want black and white pen and ink drawings the whole way. And you want it to be so that you are interested in it and you have some excitement about the material too. So for a first grader, you might be looking for something different than for a high schooler. But when you're looking at curriculum overall, I think the best philosophy is that you should buy the absolute best curriculum you can have and then modify from there. And I'm saying that because it is expensive to buy curriculum, but if you buy a little of this and a little of that and a little of the other and a little of the other, you can end up spending a lot of money and you're thinking you're saving because this one didn't cost too much and that one didn't cost too much. But overall, you can spend an awful lot of money. So what we did was I bought for the oldest child, and then I bought workbooks or the other books for the rest of the children. Now, I had an age span, so I couldn't buy for the next 20 years, but I bought ahead when I could, and I was able to keep track of editions, so I wasn't having to rebuy every year. And that was very helpful just financially. But you want to buy an excellent curriculum because then it is easy to modify. Now I have a literature book that I'm going to be looking at, and one thing you want to have in your is a good teacher's edition because it will help you to know where you're going and what you're doing. And you're going to want to have a teacher's edition that all tells you the objective of the day, so exactly where you're going and how to assess that. So if I'll use a very simple example. If your student is supposed to be able to count to 10 by the end of the lesson, you know you'll be able to assess that by saying, okay, student, can you count to 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 100%, they got it. So you know what they're supposed to do. And you want those kind of objectives even in your older students' lessons. So you know where you're going, you know what you're trying to do, and you know how to assess if you got there or not. So you're going to be also looking because I'm a Homeschool Christian Mom, you're also going to be looking for a curriculum that has a biblical basis. And you think, well, it's not so important in literature or it's not so important in math, but it is absolutely important because you're teaching your children that the Bible is sufficient and authoritative, and God made the world and created the world. And if there's anything that shows that God created the world is in control and manages things, it certainly is math. And every part of your life should be showing that God is the creator and he's in control. And you want your books to also explain things more than one way. Now, in math, that you can see that, okay, if they don't understand greatest common factor in fourth grade's explained this way, we can show it this way. Or if they don't understand that way, we can explain it another way. And we can use manipulatives, and we can do this, and we can do that, and we can explain math several different ways. But in other subjects, you want that same kind of explanation. So you want this logical progression of thought so that there's not big jumps. Now, if you've ever talked to somebody who is really, really good at something, you might, and ask them to explain it, they might be going, here, oh, this is what you do, and then this is what you do, and this is what you do, and you try to reproduce that later, and you're like, wait a second, there's some steps in here that I'm missing. So this person knew the material so well that they were making the jumps in their mind, but they weren't able to explain those things. Now, my son-in-law is very good with computers, and he knows them, and he knows the cables, and he knows how to explain things. And he knows how to explain things in a very incremental way, so that if I ask him how to do something with my computer, he will give me, it may be 23 steps to get from where I am to where I want to go. But he doesn't miss any steps. He's very good for teaching like that because all the steps are there. And I don't know computers very well, so I wouldn't understand if I was missing one of those steps. Well, with him, it's great because he knows, and he gets me right where I want to be. A lot of textbooks are like that because they are going through the material, and they know their material really well. They have an English expert that's teaching English, and she knows her material so well, and she's talking about dependent clauses and subordinating clauses and adverbial subordinating clauses, and all of a sudden you just sort of glass over and you're like, I have no clue what she's talking about. She knows the material so well, she forgets that everybody else doesn't know it so well. Now, I am an affiliate with BJU Press, and I love their books. Now, I'm not an affiliate because I'm getting books for my kids. My kids have already graduated. I bought all my curriculum. But I love their books because they have that incremental learning. They go from one thing to the next thing in an age-appropriate way, and they explain things, all the steps. And one reason they can do that is because I counted ahead of time. There were 24 different people. This is a Writing and Grammar Teacher's Edition 7. They had 24 people that worked on this book. And so they had the writers and the editors, and they had people that were going through it and saying, wait a second, you must have missed a step. This doesn't flow nicely. And I appreciate the moms that are trying to write curriculum, but they're really, you are doing yourself a disservice a lot of times by getting that, because you're getting such an incomplete version of what you really want for your children. Now, I know a lot of people homeschool 1st through 6th grade, and then they're like, I can't do high school. It's impossible. There's too much to do. Now, you can do parent-led with a good curriculum, or they have online classes now that are excellent. I do not know how the teachers do it, but they make an emotional connection online with those students, and they get those students going. And I've seen it in my own kids, and it's amazing. I felt like by watching those teachers, I became a better teacher, because as moms, everything's so personal, right? Oh, you didn't finish your spelling list. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, I can't believe you wrote that sentence like that. Have you never even heard of capitalization? And we get it. We take it so personally. But the teachers on the video, the online lessons, okay, now I would like you to check your work for capitalizations and punctuation. Let's just go through your sentences one at a time. Does it begin with a capital? Is it got a subject, a verb? We have some punctuation at the end. Wonderful. Good job. And they just teach it just very calmly and nicely. And I'm like, that's the kind of teacher I want to be, but I fail a lot of times with my students getting that across. So as you're looking for curriculum, I really would like you to look at the BJU curriculum, and even if you don't purchase it, think to yourself, this is my standard. This is the kind of curriculum that I want to be looking for. I'm going to get as close to this as I can afford, because if you're serious about your homeschooling, if you're serious about raising your children for the Lord, you need the kind of curriculum that is going to help you meet those goals. And the BJU Press Homeschool Curriculum will do that. They will help you to be the kind of homeschooling mom you want to be. And I know everyone's looking at curriculum right now and thinking, what can I afford? What can I do? Well, don't forget to look at the BJU Homeschool Curriculum. It's a great resource for you. And I do hope you join me on Facebook, my Homeschool Christian Mom group. And I also have In there, I do tips, tricks, resources. We talk about homeschooling difficulties that we might have with our children, and I do art projects, which is just a fun thing that I've added since I did start out as an art teacher. I've had a lot of fun. We're doing watercolor beta fish right now, and then we're going to be moving on to some batiks. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to be talking about curriculum all this week and talking about age-appropriate curriculum and how to set that foundation for your students. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.